so that we can be able to provide your gift card if you stay till the end. Also, we will be providing the slide deck, so you'll have all the information as well. I'm going to be talking about scholarships, and I think it's very critical for us to really make sure that we're applying to scholarships. It may take some work to apply for a scholarship, whether it's to write for an essay and so forth, but it is so worth it. I was a student that did loans and did not do a scholarship, did not write for a scholarship. And when I look back at what I owe today and what I could have had, I could have been debt free. So I really want this for everyone to be debt free when it comes to going to college. And there are ways to do it. And it is one of the ways is to be able to apply for scholarships. So one of the scholarships is Michigan Achievement Scholarship, which is a state scholarship for recent high school graduates. We do have a link for that as well. And they award, and they also have renewal rules that you would want to follow. There's also the Michigan Competitive Scholarship, which is restricted to tuition and mandatory fees. So it does do small amounts, less than $1,500, but it does add up. There's a Michigan Student Aid Scholarship Search and state program. So you want to be able to look at that to search for different scholarships that are available. Michigan College Access Network, they just recently had where they were giving money away. And so all you had to do was just text them and they were giving money away. You had to stay up to date with what was happening, and they awarded about 50 people across the state of Michigan. So look for giveaways as well. And scholarships don't always have to be a written essay. There's also the Michigan Echo and local community scholarships. So regional scholarships and community foundations also have scholarships as well. Miss Wylea actually talked about Grand Valley. So I was a Grand Valley student. I went there for 5 years. So sometimes you have to go a little bit longer, but I went there for 5 years, and there was at the end of my 5 years of college, I had a balance of $2,000. So I was like, well, I won't get my degree because now I owe $2,000, which I did not have, and I had to work. So they end up doing a grant for me so that I can be done with college and not have to worry about that $2,000 balance that was left. And so it is so important not only to have a communication, but to be transparent. And I know that sometimes it is very hard to be vulnerable when you're writing a scholarship or when you're writing, applying to grant or making sure that you complete your financial aid, but it's so critical so that it is accurate and you're getting the grant, scholarships, and the funds that you need to achieve your goal. So with that, there's some additional opportunities. I won't stay on this long, but there's the Detroit Promise Zone. And this is for individuals who live and they graduate in Detroit. It is for public, charter, and private school. So you have to at least be there, be a junior and a senior year to qualify for this. It covers tuition and mandatory fees, and the students just have to complete the FAFSA. And then also register for the Detroit Promise registration. And it is to remove barriers so that you're able to attend school without having debt. But the Grand Rapids one, I'm going to focus on a little bit more because although it is a Promise Zone scholarship, it is for students who live in the city of Grand Rapids and they graduate from a Grand Rapids public school. Now, there are some charter schools that are approved, but you have to make sure it is approved with them. They cover full tuition and fees at Grand Rapids Community College for up to 60 credits or an associate degree. So really making sure that you follow that guidance if you are a student within Grand Rapids Public Schools or an approved charter school. Students must complete the FAFSA and the Promise Zone application. It is administered through the Grand Rapids Promise Zone Authority. They have a lot of partners that are working together to make sure that students graduate and ensure that every Grand Rapids student has a pathway to college. So this is the link, and you'll have this slide to be able to look at that. So for scholarships, you want to start early and you want to make sure that you're applying for local scholarships. A lot of times we get caught up on those national ones, but the local ones have less people applying for them. And there's sometimes there are hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting on the table because people have not applied for that. And so you want to make sure you start early and you make sure you look at your deadline. I've had students ask me to write them a recommendation letter, and they waited the day of to have me write a recommendation letter for their scholarship. You don't want to do that because people are busy, and we want to make sure that you have you meet your deadlines. Even if you're a minute late, sometimes they'll just have you cut off at 5 o'clock, and that's not fair to you if you are trying to apply for a scholarship. FAFSA is the gateway, so we want to make sure that you are applying to your FAFSA early, so that you can be able to qualify for those grants and qualify for the scholarships as well. And then there's also some requirements that you may have to do for schools, and schools have scholarships as well, but they also have a cutoff time for you to be eligible for those scholarships within their school system. You want to apply, like I said, apply locally, and you want to do as many as you can. This is why you're going to hear people who have $25 million or $50 million in scholarships, because they kept on applying. And as Ms. Ariana stated, you have to keep it as like a part-time job so that you're continuing to apply, but you're staying organized with the spreadsheet that she mentioned earlier. And then also what Ms. Wylia said as well, because you want to make sure that you are even looking at those renewal timelines as well. Colleges often have different packages. And so as you're applying for different schools and you're really excited about it, it may be a great idea to go to GRCC if you are a graduate from Grand Rapids Public Schools, to go to GRCC to reduce your cost because it's free. And then go and transfer to a four-year college. So just making sure that you're tapping into that free money so that you're able to achieve your goal at the end. And then combine aid sources. So like state awards may have a last dollar amount, your college may have a last dollar amount. Also just those scholarships that are available in grants. So you want to make sure that you are stacking your grants and scholarships in aid. So this is some dates to think about, like October 1st is when you are wanting to put your FAFSA in. Then there is a prioritization that happens between November and January for schools and foundations. And then February through May, they're going to be looking at you to submit remaining institutional and national apps. So making sure that you are putting your scholarships in for those. And that is a high time, February through May. So after accepting, you want to report awards to college financial aid so they know exactly what's coming. Sometimes things are a little bit slower. And so if you're not communicating with your financial aid, they think that you don't have the funds, and being able to show that, hey, I have an award letter for 5 different scholarships, then they will make sure that you are in your class and they're just waiting for those funds to come. So you want to make sure you're communicating any scholarships, any grants that you have applied for. If you are thank you. If you are having to write a survey, or not a survey, but an essay, a lot of times they have word counts of 250 to 500. And so you want to make sure that you are showing your impact, your goals, and how you fit into their scholarship. So with that being said, I'm going to employ you to not use ChatGPT just as a blank prompt and saying, write me an essay. You want to be able to show your own personality, your own history, have his own own statement for yourself, because I have been a part of review boards when it comes to scholarship and had people have the same exact essay and they don't even know each other. And so you want to make sure that it's not generic, is what I'm trying to say. Now, if you wanted to use ChatGPT to make sure that your spelling's okay, or making sure it's framed correctly, but your story has to be said, and you don't want it to be generic. You want to be able to stand out so you can get the scholarship. Make sure that you have somebody to review it as well. Make sure that you have one focus recommender, so a teacher or a counselor with specific examples. You want to make sure that you have a relationship with them so that they can be able to review yours in an accurate way, and also give you a recommendation. Make sure that you have your transcripts, make sure you have proof of residency, because sometimes it's place-based when you talk about scholarships. And then again, make sure your FAFSA confirmation that you have it, because it is a requirement. And then like I said, make sure you tailor each application. And so then, well, sometimes you want to make sure that you're, in order for you to do it, you want to make sure that you have your FAFSA completion nights. Sometimes MCAN does that. We are able to help support you on a one-to-one. Sometimes your school is able to. So go to each one. I'm going to tell you, there's sometimes you go to one workshop and then you go to another one and you're hearing the same information, but you're pulling different information from that. So try to go to a few of them so you're getting the information you need. There's also local fairs, and then there's some classroom blocks too. So sometimes your school will allow you to have time to apply to your scholarships as well. I won't go through this because we kind of talked through this and making sure that you are seeking some other tools. We talked about the Google link that we are going to provide in a scholarship or FAFSA tracker. Ms. Ariana mentioned having your phone to utilize that and plugging it into your calendar so you can remember those dates. We also talked about, well, we didn't talk about this. When you are requesting a recommendation, make sure it's short and it includes the due date. Make sure you have 2 to 3 bullet points to remind recommender of strengths that you have, because sometimes the recommenders have a lot of students that they're working with, and we want to make sure that you are standing out and that they have a reference point. Make sure that they know what kind of scholarship it is and what the scholarship goal is too. Also give them 6 to 8 weeks before due date. So instead of the day of, and you want to have a thoughtful recommendation, you want to ask them 6 to 8 weeks ahead of time. And then we also are going to provide you with the link to a template for a recommendation letter, so you can just plug in the information. And then also make sure that you have your FAFSA documents as well. Some of the common mistakes to avoid is the big, give me 1 second. Ms. Willa, can you start this, please?
Yes. So some of the common mistakes to avoid is definitely missing the deadlines. So some of the biggest mistakes that a lot of our kids and our students do is waiting to the last minute or missing the submission date. So you want to make sure that you create the scholarship calendar that we talked about and know when is the deadline and apply ASAP. Not completing the FAFSA completely. Some of like I know quite a few students who and parents who will fill out the whole FAFSA, think everything is great, don't look back until the school will say, okay, you're missing this piece. So making sure that you ensure that the FAFSA is completed. And also families assume that FAFSA is the only loans, but most scholarships and grants require it for eligibility. So make sure you fill out your FAFSA, you're going back, you checking your FAFSA to make sure that everything is set and go. Ignoring local opportunities, only focusing on the national scholarships and missing the local ones. For instance, the city, the county, business, community foundations. Banks are offering a lot of scholarships for our recent college grads. So be on the lookout for your banks, for your credit unions, and see, okay, who's offering scholarships, because quite a few banks and the credit unions are offering it. Submitting generic applications, using one essay or an application for all scholarships, missing the mark, or using AI to not personalize it. So what I tell all my students is for each grant that you're doing or each essay, customize it to you and what the school is offering or what the grant is offering, so you won't make the mistake of generalizing it. And then, yeah, that's about it. Next slide.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the local opportunities. Sometimes what I find is that individuals that are ready to go to college, they don't think about their places that they work. And so sometimes you have tuition reimbursement or special scholarships or special programs. And so you want to make sure you talk to your HR to find out what that information is, what those requirements are too. And so making sure that you tap in when you talk about local, where do you work and what does that look like for them to help support you to go to college. Thank you, Ms. Wylia. Some other common mistakes to avoid is overlooking eligibility details. So applying for scholarships you don't fully qualify for, waste your time, and then also waste the scholarship board's time. So double check eligibility, GPA, major, where do you live, your background, your activities that you're in. Also forgetting to proofread. As you see that we have some mistakes on our slide, we want to make sure that you don't fall into that. So make sure that you have a teacher or a mentor or a parent review before submissions and make the corrections. Also failing to follow instructions. So some scholarships ask for specific formats, word counts, or additional materials. So if you're missing a document that they are requiring, whether it's your birth certificate or your residency, to like a proof of your residency, they can disqualify you. So you treat every scholarship as a mini professional application, create a checklist, and follow every direction exactly. So then the other mistakes are not applying to enough. So many students stop after applying to just a few scholarships. So you want to aim for 10 to 20 applications per year. Even small awards add up and look great on a college professional resume. Another point is ignoring renewal requirements. So we've talked about that a few times. You want to make sure that you're applying to renew your scholarship. So make sure that you have your GPA, make sure you have the correct credits, because if you drop to part-time, sometimes grants or scholarships would not apply to you. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that. So track renewals on a calendar and submit your grade updates or forms on for each semester. What I'm going to do, because someone did join, I'm going to just remind you to put your email in the chat. We are going to be giving a gift certificate if you stay till the end. So then last but not least, one of the biggest things that individuals fail to do is not saying thank you to donors or organizations, and it can affect your future opportunities. So you want to make sure you're grateful. You can share with them, like, how did it help them? How did it help you? So make sure that you're being specific with your thank you. So always send a thank you note, and then build a long-term support network with those grants or funders.
Like Keisha, I just want to piggyback off of that. That's so important because just like the grant that I told you guys that I was able to receive to fill that gap, I was able to be awarded 2 years in a row because of my response. And so thankfully, the support of the financial aid told me, hey, make sure that you write this and you want to be thankful for it. But because of my submission and my response to them, they were willing to give it to me another year. So I was awarded an additional $5,000 the following year.
Thank you for sharing that. That is so
Yeah.
important to know that. So I'm going to give you some examples that we had at the beginning of the presentation. So we have the student, her name is Bree. She's a volleyball player. She has a GPA of 3.5. She sings in choir, and she lives in a residential home. So this is like being in foster care. What she qualifies for, and we're just going to mention a few things that she would qualify for, but she would qualify for so much more. So she would qualify for a Fostering Futures scholarship, and that is for youth who experience foster care, and you have to be at least 13 years old on or after being in a residential home. And so this is why she would fit into this, because she's currently living in a residential home. She also would qualify for a Michigan School Vocal Music Association, and that's a multi-year scholarship. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that as well. So if you have different hobbies that you're doing, you want to make sure that you're looking at the scholarships you may qualify for. She also would have qualified for the NAACP scholarship based off her GPA of being 3.5. And they also are looking for scholarship as a pipeline. And so you're making sure that she is academically strong, that she's in the arts like choir, she would qualify for this scholarship. So then we have a student named Drew. He's an avid reader. He's a gamer. He's in the National Honor Society. He's a 4.0. He lives in Grand Rapids. So going back to like being a promised neighborhood, he actually would qualify for that. But he also would qualify for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. He would get up to $5,500 per year for 4 years at a Michigan public school or a university. So we want to make sure that a student like him would apply for that. He also would apply for or qualify for the MEA scholarship, which is the Michigan Education Association. He would get between $1,000 and $1,500. But there is a special program at Michigan State University. And it's the esports program, and that he would get a partial scholarship for gamers. So based off his GPA and based off that's one of his leisure activities. So again, being a gamer, it would qualify for additional scholarship, not just based off his academics. And then we have this student named Tia. Her hobby is painting, theater. She's the editor for school newspaper. She has a GPA of 2.9. She lives in Muskegon. Muskegon also has a promised neighborhood as well, so she would qualify for that. She would qualify for the Grand Rapids Community Foundation Arts and Writing Scholarship. She would qualify for a Muskegon Community Foundation Scholarship as well. Excuse me. With $500 to $5,000 award. And she also would qualify for the Michigan Youth Arts or Michigan Thespian Festival Scholarship. So, excuse me. So these are some of the websites that you would look for scholarships. It's the FastWeb, scholarships.com. There's also the big the College Board scholarship search as well. Excuse me. Here are some other scholarships that are based off of individual backgrounds. I'm not going to read them all, but this is where where you self-identify, and then you're able to apply for these scholarships as well. So again, we will be sending this information out, resources and tools. I'm going to actually put in a sign-up sheet if you want one-on-one coaching or need some additional support. You can sign up on this link too. And we will also send out the PowerPoint or the slide deck so that you are able to have this.
And if you guys have any questions at all, we're going to open up the floor for any questions. And we will also do follow-up on one-on-one sessions. One of the things I want to make sure that I highlight is when you guys get these slide decks, the links to these scholarships and grants, make sure you guys be able to access it and you utilize it ASAP to start applying. So any questions, please put in the comment or open up and ask us questions right away. Yes, yes, yes. So we want to thank you guys for coming. And Miss Ariana, did you have any last comments that you wanted to say?
No, if any of you guys are interested and you are needing support around what does it look like for yourself and budgeting or any financial education, how do you identify the monies you need, please feel free to reach out to us. We are more than willing to support you guys through this journey. So it's not just going through the presentation, but if you're simply like, how do I even access this, or can you walk me through this process? That's why we're here to support you. We don't want to just overload you with information, but we want to make sure that you're able to get this information and let it work for you.
Exactly. Yes. And anyone who need one-on-one, reach out to us because that's what we're here for. We can help you. First beginning, get your FSA ID, right? Apply for FAFSA. We can help you apply for grants, scholarships. We can help you identify them. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. And thank you guys and have a wonderful evening.